All right, so today we're going to talk about classifying rational numbers. So when you go home today, you'll be able to talk to your parents all about how you classified rational numbers. They're going to have no idea what a rational number is, and you're going to be able to enlighten them on how amazing your math teacher is, and you know what a rational number is. So before we get into actually classifying rational numbers, I want to talk to you about something other than numbers. Okay, you don't need to flip yours over. This is just for the beginning parts of this lesson. So you don't need to. This is just I flipped this over so I can draw on it. Okay, so you're gonna ask me a series of questions. There's only gonna be 3 questions. Actually, there's 1 question. You're gonna ask me that same question 3 different times. Okay. The question is going to be, where do you live? Every time you give me ask me that question and I give you the answer is going to be true. Okay? Meaning that whatever I tell you, that is where I live. Okay? Everybody understand that? Okay. Hold on. So, I'm going to start off. I'm not even going to tell you where I'm going to start off. All right. So, I need one person to ask me that lovely question. Oh, look at you. All of y'all, they're like, yeah, I know this. I can do this. I can ask a question. Not a problem. All right. Let's see here. Remember, ask it loud. All right.
Where do you live?
I live in the United States. Knowing that information, would it be easy to find me?
Not really. No.
Not really, right? It's not going to be that easy. But is it true? Do I live in the United States?
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, ask me again.
Where do you live?
I live in Texas. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So the last question, the answer was United States. Is Texas in the United States?
Yes.
Giving that information, is it a little bit easier to find me?
Yes.
Still not super easy, right?
Yes.
But at least now you have instead of all the states to go through, now you know I'm in Texas. Now, ask me again. I just love all y'all's hands going up. Yeah! My turn to ask you a question.
Where do you live?
I live in Lavernia. Easier to find me now?
Yes.
Right? I went from the United States down to Texas. Now I'm Lavernia. Right?
Yes.
Now it might be a little bit easier to find me. Right? But still, even though Lavernia is small, it's still, okay, there's still a lot of people in Lavernia. All right, last question.
Where do you live?
I live at County Road 348. Would you be able to find me a lot easier then?
Yes.
Yes. I'm not going to give you my specific address because that's a little weird.
Yeah.
So, as we started this, every time I told you where I live, what happened? Did I get broader or did I get more specific?
More specific.
Now, is the county road in Lavernia?
Yes.
Yes, it is part of Lavernia. Is Lavernia part of Texas?
Yes.
Is Texas part of the United States?
Yes.
So, all of these are all of Texas is in the United States, right? Is all of the United States in Texas?
No.
No. All right, so what we just did there was a form of classifying. So we took the first question and we said, all right, you live in the United States, right?
Yes.
Then we got a little bit more specific and we named the state that I lived in, right?
Yes.
Then we got a little bit more specific and we said the town that I lived in, right?
Yes.
And then I even got super specific and I gave you my address. not really, but close enough, right? So this is a visual that I want you to see when you think about classifying numbers. Now, instead of using United States, state, town, and address, this would be rational numbers. This would be integers. Then we have whole numbers. And then we have natural numbers. As we got more and more specific. Every number that's in a natural number is also considered to be a whole number, which is also considered to be an integer, which is also considered to be a rational number, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now that we've kind of got this visual of what we're going to be working on, now we're actually going to start classifying some rational numbers. All right. So a rational number, vocabulary word for you. A rational number, and you don't have to highlight this. I just like to highlight it. I like my little doodle notes that I got. I like them. So a rational number is any number that can be expressed as a ratio of two integers or written in the form of a decimal or fraction. I'm going to go a little bit further than what these notes are, so I'm going to add to these notes. I really want you to know that really a rational number is any number that can be written in A over B form. Any number that can be written in A over B form. Now, let's talk about this A over B form. What does that A over B look like?
Fraction.
It looks like a fraction. Absolutely does. So really, even though I have this terminology of A over B form, we can say it's really any number that can be written as a fraction. Okay? Any number that can be written as a fraction. All right, so let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to just write some over here. You don't need to because you're going to end up cutting this out. So I'm just going to show you some examples of what it looks like writing something as A over B form. If I gave you this number, how would I write that in A over B form? Yes, sir?
6 over 6.
Nope, 6 over 6 is one whole.
6 over 100.
Nope, 6 over 100 is like 0.06. Go for it.
6 over 1.
Anytime I have a whole number, I stick it over 1, and that would be my A over B form, correct?
Yes.
All right, what about this number? How would I write that in A over B form?
32 over 1.
Nope, not 32 over 1.
32 over 100.
Very good. 32 over 100 because it's got that percent. What about this number? How would I write that as an A over B form?
5/10.
5/10, which is also what?
50 out of 100.
Yes, but what does my benchmark fraction say it is?
1/2.
1/2. What about this number? How would I write that number as an A over B form?
-3 over 1.
Very good. Negative 3 over 1. All right, so that just kind of got my brain going to make sure that I remembered how to write whole numbers in a fraction form. All right, so here I have a Venn diagram. That's what this is called, a Venn diagram. So the very first thing that I'm going to do on this Venn diagram is I'm going to label them. I always start on the outside and work my way in. So the biggest part is my rational numbers. So in 6th grade, all the numbers that we deal with are rational numbers. We don't deal with anything other than rational numbers. So after rational numbers comes integers, then whole, then natural. Yes, sir?
Could you give us an example of an irrational number?
No, I don't want to do irrational. You won't deal with irrational for a while, so we need to understand what rational number is before we can go into irrational. I kind of like to think of them as rational numbers or sane numbers. You know, like whenever my kids say, "Woo, Mom, you're going irrational." Well, I'm not crazy. Irrational numbers are crazy. They're cray-cray. They can't be written in A over B form. All right, so whole numbers are like counting numbers. That's the other word that we use for this is counting. Counting numbers. So that's 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Whole numbers are all natural numbers, and then we also include 0. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So whole numbers are all natural numbers and 0. Integers are negative whole numbers. Just because it has a negative sign does not automatically make it get put into the integers spot. So that would be like negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. 0 would be my whole number. And then 1, 2, 3, and so forth. And then last but certainly not least is rational numbers, and that is any number that can be written in A over B form. Okay, so we just finished talking about what a rational number was, and that was any number that can be written in A over B form. All right, so sometimes my diagram may not look like circles or ovals. Sometimes it may be a triangle, sometimes it may be a rectangle, sometimes it may be any shape. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to label them. So I'm going to label them. I always start with my outer biggest one, which would be which one? Rational. Then I work my way up, and my next one would be what? Integers. Then whole number. Now notice this doesn't have an inside triangle for natural numbers, correct? So that means for this particular one, I don't have to do natural numbers. That means that Those numbers that we thought would go into natural numbers will go into which one? Whole. All right, so let's talk about where each of these numbers are going to go inside my diagram. All right, -4, where would -4 go? Raise your hand. Hayden? In integers, very good. Where would 6.8 go, or 6.8?
Rational.
Rational, very good. What about -2.8? Logan? Rational. Why wouldn't it go into integers? It's got a negative sign. Why wouldn't, oh, I just thought all negatives go in integers. Why would -2.8 not go in integers? Nelzer?
Because rational is
I think you're thinking right, you just don't know how to explain it. So, I think you're thinking right, just sometimes getting those words out. Diedrich? Well, because even though it's got that negative sign, it's not the opposite of a whole number, right? So therefore, it's going to go into rational numbers. What about 1/2? Where will 1/2 go? Somebody that hasn't answered.
Rational.
Rational. We got a lot of rational numbers here. What about 0? Yes. Whole numbers. Very good. All right. Because I'm such a amazingly loving teacher, I'm going to give you some more examples. So you need to add these to your notes because you're going to put them in the diagram as well. 6/2. -1/3. 3.00. -28/7. So you're going to add those to your notes. All right. Where would 6/2 be located at? Chaney?
rational.
All right. So rational, can it be written in A/B form?
Yes.
Yes. So would 6/2 be considered a rational number? Yes. Can it go somewhere more specific than just into rational numbers? It can go into whole numbers. Why?
Because the 6/2.
It is an improper fraction, but when I simplify that down, 6/2, what's it going to come down to? You're right, it's going to go into whole numbers, but because it will simplify down to what? Comes down all the way down to 3, right? Because this fraction bar means what? Divide, right? So 6 divided by 2 is going to give me what? 3. So because this comes out as a whole number, I will place it in the whole numbers. So it's really important to understand that just because it's written in A/B form does not automatically stick it just into rational. When we classify, we want it to go in the most specific spot. All right, where is -1/3 going to go? Yes.
Rational.
Rational, very good. What about 3.00? Come on, I should be seeing more hands than this.
Whole numbers.
It will go into whole numbers. What about -28/7? Yes.
Whole numbers.
Whole numbers. Why would you put it in whole numbers?
Because if you simplify it, it's 5, 7 will give you. It will give you 4 over 1.
Would it give me 4 over 1 or would it give me negative 4 over 1?
Negative 4.
So would it still go in whole numbers or would it go into integers? It would go into integers because when I simplify this down, negative 28 divided by 7 will give me negative 4 over 1, which would put me into integers. All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds or maybe about 30 seconds. I want you to do this first, or this one by yourself. What is the first thing that I'm going to do with that? Label. So right now, you label and then you place these numbers in the particular correct spots. Give you all about 30 seconds. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and label mine so I have them labeled correctly. You check to make sure yours are labeled correctly. All right, now let's go ahead and place my numbers. You check to see if yours are placed in the right spot. Negative 7 is in integers. 1 should go in whole. 25 should go into whole. Negative 2/3 goes into rational. Negative 4.2 goes into rational. And 6/12 goes into rational. How many of y'all got all of your spots in the right? Perfect. All right, get that cut out and glued into your journal, and then we're gonna do a little bit of guided practice.